This your boy E.Wilson. JTC is on the move. I am over here at the high school wrapping up another year, and I have my man right here, Dallas police officer, the law enforcement man himself, JTC mentor, Mr. Raashid Brown. Raashid, man, how you doing today, bro?
I am fantastic, man. I'm floating on a cloud right now, man.
Listen. We've been in here. We've been doing this thing for years. Now this is your first run with us.
Yeah.
Not that you've never done this, because you already over there. You're laying ground for us in Kansas City, Missouri. But just overall, before we get into today, how was your experience over this year?
I would say it was life-changing. With my career as a police officer, I always worry about how we are viewed, especially from not just a general population, but from a youth perspective. So to spend time learning, engaging with the next generation, it was life-changing for me. It couldn't do nothing but enhance me and my career and being a public servant.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you this, Raashid. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that with a day and time like today, as we talked about earlier, where there's so much negative publicity put out, it seems that negativity gets people's attention. But you being an officer, like you said, how after today being the last day, how do the kids view you as a police officer?
Well, I've been dealing with in particular this class for about 5 months. When I first came in, it was a little rough, especially when they found out I was a police officer, because their perception of police officers was very distorted, if you will. So having the time to engage with them and for them to learn that I'm a human being first, before I put this badge on, I'm a human being, and then just to really reach down to their level so we can conversate. The basis of our communication was understanding. Them understanding police officers and police officers understanding them and their life and what they're dealing with, what they're going through. That perspective alone was challenged and changed for the better. For the better.
So well, first of all, I just want to say it publicly. I'm just glad to have you aboard. Like I said, you're a human being first. You're a human being that's a police officer. You're not a police officer, that's a human being. And just the service that you give to the community of Dallas, as God uses you. Let me ask you this, brother. Let me ask you this, because I'm already encouraged. I'm in media. So I understand when I'm watching TV, take the meat, spit the bone out. Sometimes there's more bone than meat. That's another story for another day. But we're really honored to have you serving with us at the JTC. But then also, to be out in the community, knowing what you do, and really putting your life on the line to serve others is a whole nother level of service. Let me ask you this: what drove you to want to become a police officer?
The effect that you can have on a person's life. Many people come in contact with police officers. I myself did. That police officer, I did some things I should have been doing as a juvenile. I made a mistake. The police officer could have slammed me, could have put me in a juvenile detention center. He gave me another opportunity. He gave me another chance. He said, I believe you're a good kid. You've never been in trouble before. I'm going to give you another chance. That other chance changed my life. So from that day forward, I realized that as a police officer, as a public servant, you have the ability to affect change in a person's life forever. Now, granted, they may have made a bad decision which may have caused you to be there. But that officer, Officer Diddy with Independence Police Department, he gave me a chance 10 years ago. And from that day forward, that impacted my life to say, you know what, I would like to do that for somebody else. Now, of course, getting into it as a police officer, you're a public servant. It's your job to serve people. They only call you when it's something bad anyway. So you're going out to these calls and you're dealing with folks, but you have the opportunity to change a person. That one contact with Officer Diddy changed my life forever. So why not be able to, he extended some mercy to me to be able to extend that same mercy to other people. So that's the real reason why I do it, man, is to affect change in a person's life forever.
That's just so encouraging to hear that, with all, and we just talked about it, I didn't even know that, but with all that's going on here, the police officer had the opportunity. And let's just be clear about it. You were in the wrong.
I was in the wrong all day.
So you wasn't in the right. You was in the wrong all day.
Yes, sir. All day.
And here he had mercy. And so, we understand with every profession, there are those who may go past the bounds. But I'm just glad to know that to hear from you personally that there are other officers. Like I know myself when I've come across officers that, that were polite. Before we go, let's just say this. For those who may encounter police in whatever state they are, what should their attitude be whether right or wrong, whether they were in the wrong or the right, maybe the officer took extra precaution to maybe pull them over something. How could their attitude help them to, at least as a citizen, on their part, to not let the situation escalate to another level?
A wise person, my godfather used to say something all the time: your attitude determines your altitude. So with police officers, really with it, now granted, we could have bad attitudes as well, but from a citizen's perspective, it's your attitude. Granted, most of the time you don't want to admit it, but you were probably in the wrong, even if you wasn't. But when the officer make contact with you, it's about respect. You want respect from your position as a citizen. I want him to respect me, address me as sir, ma'am, that's fine. We also want the same respect. Oftentimes, it's really your attitude and your respect. Hey, officer, you know what? I made a mistake. I apologize about it. And just being respectful about it. Up front. Not as time, but up front. Sir, you know what? I apologize. I'm sorry. That determines a whole lot with it. Granted, because we can make mistakes as well. We could have thought we saw something else and didn't see it. But really, it's your attitude that determines your altitude. Even in that situation with police officers and law enforcement officers around the country, it's really your attitude. Now, granted, some of us at the same time, we got some attitude adjustments we can work on as well. But I always tell people, always be polite, always be respectful. Your PRs, if you remember that, you'll be okay.
Man, boy, we can keep going with this. This thing is just starting to heat up, man. I really appreciate it, because I know that when I was younger, you know, and I got pulled over by the cops one time, it was a few times, but, you know, this one particular time, but thank God my dad was in the car, and I was driving, and I was getting an attitude big time before the cop walked up, and my dad set me straight right there. So the officer didn't even know that his job was half done. My dad set me straight right there, and it was so funny, not funny, but then my dad said, "I told you not to put this tint on the windows anyway." But you know, I was young, I wanted the tint, but he got me straight, and I talked to the officer. The officer didn't give me a ticket, but I learned the value, even what we're doing today, mentoring, and how we as men need to be engaged, because if we are engaged, and the first fear factor is the mentor or the father, you know we can make your job, you know, much easier.
A lot different. Yes, sir.
Much easier. So listen, I appreciate you for all your service. You heard it out there. Your PRs, your attitude, respect. Listen, you can go a long way. You know, now you can't control what the officer does, but you can go a long way. You heard it right here from the man himself. So listen, E.Wilson right here with Officer Brown, aka JTC Mentor. Remember, you're going to have a conversation. PRs. What do you say? Make it a
good one.
All right, we out.